Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Yacht Crew Vlogs right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and today I'm pleased to introduce Jack Coppola from Coppola Concierge. How are you?
Hey, Ria. Very good. I'm so happy to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah, Jack is back. It's about time.
Jack is back. Hit the road, Jack.
And you've been really busy. And actually, the reason I wanted to bring you on board today was, I mean, there are some significant differences between the yacht charter market in Europe and the US. And I think significantly right now, the United States is doing rather well with yacht charters, whereas Europe has seen almost a 50% decline in yacht charters. But I wanted to ask you what yacht charter looks like in the COVID era at the moment.
Where do I start? I mean, the yacht charter's on. The yacht charter's off. The yacht charter's back on. The yacht charter is rescheduled. The yacht charter's down in the Bahamas, and then the Bahamas close, and then the charter's canceled. So, I mean, honestly, it's been very, very, very hot and cold. But at the same token, I mean, there are boats that they're in their little region, they're in their spot, and they're moving. I mean, I know a lot of owners have said, hey, we're only doing 7-day minimum, or we're only doing 10-day minimums, or everyone charter guest wise has to be tested before they come on board, and they have to be quarantined in a hotel upon boarding or arrival. So it's been interesting. It's working, but at the same token, every single boat and every single program is so different. And the logistics and the legwork to make it happen is a little bit more time consuming. But at the same token, granted what's going on, if we're able to make a charter happen as crew or as a broker, or, even as a, being in the guest shoes, it's a win-win for everyone. I mean, people are dying to get out of their houses. People are wanting to get out on the water. People are just antsy to do anything, and they will do anything.
Are you finding that there are issues, for example, going from state to state when you're doing charters?
Big time. I mean, as you know, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, is kind of the capital of yachting and yacht crew. Everyone comes here. All the crew houses are here. All the training schools are here. A lot of the boats are here. But that being said, I mean, in the summer, we have the Mediterranean, we have the Bahamas, we have New England. Those are like the top three, quote unquote, most popular charter spots. And there are a lot of boats up in Montauk and Sag Harbor and Newport and Connecticut that had crew, fired some of the crew, or some of the crew left. Then they book a charter and they need crew, but the crew will be coming from Florida, which means that there's a 2-week quarantine period. When you get to New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, so on. So it's making it difficult for the state to state hops. And it's even from Maine to New York, or New York to Connecticut. There's all these regulations, and it's very difficult, especially when boats are, say, doing a pickup in Sag Harbor and a drop off in Newport.
So, it sounds like it's getting quite complicated. I mean, just within the state's borders, but you also do yacht charters outside of the state.
Yeah, I mean, we do yacht charters in, I mean, Alaska, that's the States, but I mean, Caribbean, Bahamas, Croatia, Greece. And the Bahamas, for example, that was interesting because beginning of June through June, July 4th, Bahamas was fine. All you had to do was have your COVID test within 10 days, which was kind of mind blowing to me. It's like, okay, you're going to get tested, then you're going to have 10 days of doing what you want to do, and then you can, go. Crazy. You had to file basically like a health declaration on the Bahamian government website. And other than that, you were good to go. I mean, there were a lot of boats that were, really, really busy down in the Exumas and down in Long Island and, in and out of Nassau. And then after July 4th came, the, COVID spike kind of went up in the Bahamas, and the Bahamas did, private jets only, private yachts only, no charters allowed, hotels going back, scaling back on the tourism. And then the Bahamas shut down again for 2 weeks. So it's making it difficult because, you have these trips that are booked, you have these airplanes that are booked, you have these clients that are ready to go, the crew's in position, the boat's provisions, and then there's a shutdown. So it's like, now what?
Well, and you're finding that in Europe as well. I mean, I know there's some countries in Europe that were open for a while and now have shut. And of course, once again, you're booking those charters, you're everything. And there's so many logistics that go into this, especially when you're talking about booking private flights as well. And then all of a sudden it's open and it's shut and it's open and it's shut. What's going on with some of those situations? Are they deciding to go next year or are they just canceling entirely? What are you doing with these situations?
I mean, it's kind of a juggling game. Some people are just saying, get us there ASAP when the borders open. We want to go. So we kind of have to say okay to that. The more relaxed crowd is saying, hey, we'll just do it next year. Um, but it's kind of difficult because now the owners are, kind of saying, yeah, you know what, we don't want charters anymore on our boat. And it's like, oh my God, we had a 10-day charter booked, in Croatia with 12 people. They rescheduled 3 times. They said that they would do it spring of next year, and now you're totally canceling on them. So that's where, you know, we have to kind of come in and save the day and just say, hey, we're upgrading you to a bigger boat. Or, hey, have you ever thought of doing the Greek islands rather than Croatia? So, I mean, we kind of have to turn the negative into a positive and, make it work. Um, as for the planes and stuff, the planes are pretty forgiving, only in the sense that, it's a jet. They can go anywhere in the world. The boat is stationed in one spot. So it's their country. It's not one state. It's not one town. So everyone's pretty understanding of, the situation. But, we have to work with what we have essentially.
Well, in the past, we've talked about how the ultra high net worth individual nowadays is looking more towards excursion type yacht charters, et cetera. Are you finding that people are searching those out instead of, wanting to go to places like the Med or the Bahamas?
Yeah, they're looking for the full experience, but honestly, this summer's been weird because I've had requests for Jackson, Wyoming. I've had requests for Aspen. I've had requests for, believe it or not yacht situations. Only in the sense that they knew, oh, okay, well, what if we go when the borders are closed? So you're getting a certain niche of clientele that are saying, hey, yeah, we know the boat charters will always be there, but we're going to try something new and do, something different, which has been kind of interesting. And as for the experiences, like, say, for example, if you do like the Italian coastline, I mean, a typical experience would be, you're on the boat, you're getting off the boat, maybe you're doing, a private city tour, or you're going to a vineyard and doing a wine tasting. But it's so hard to do because are they open? Are the Americans going to, be allowed to go there? There's just too many factors, and it's almost it's almost not worth spending the time, researching it, you know, and there's the
Well, for
risk of.
you as well, most of your clientele is, of course, American, but are you finding that non-Americans are wanting to come to the States and do yacht charters and that sort of thing, and what difficulties arise with that?
I mean, it's been tricky because, I mean, as for the foreign clientele, I mean, they really can't come here. They're not allowing it, even on the private flights. If they have residency here and if they have basically roots here, there's ways around it. But it's been very, very difficult, and even for an American to travel overseas to, say, a secondary house or for a holiday or to visit family. It's it's not impossible, but it's very, very, very tough to make it happen for sure.
Now, normally speaking, in a normal year, right now, there would be a ton more boats in Europe. Have you found that that sort of increased your workload with the simple fact that a lot of these yachts didn't even make the passage over to Europe for the Med season?
So this is where I'm taking the advantage of it. I don't know if you've seen, but we're basically on the verge of launching our new butler training. Um, whether it's land, air, or sea, we're going to come to you and do a full formal butler training for the yacht crew, for the private jet crew, or for the estate crew, state staff. Um, and it's funny because I go to Rybovich, which is one of the very large marinas here in Palm Beach. And normally in summertime, you can see pretty much across the entire harbor and you could see, the view across the way. This year, all the big boats that missed the crossing window or missed the crew or had to deal with, borders being closed are still there. So it's kind of fascinating to see how packed the marinas are with the big boats that would be in Europe. But at the same token, I'm kind of telling crew, take advantage of the situation, brush up on your training, redo some of your interior, finishes, upgrade those beach towels, get the new baskets that you wanted to. And, some of the yacht crew really are being proactive and they're utilizing the downtime to make the boat, 100% spick and span for the next, charter season or for the next trip or for the next whatever it may be.
So how long do you think it's going to take? I mean, bar the COVID situation going on forever, fingers crossed not. But how long do you think it's going to take for everything to get back to normal once we sort of realize, I guess, this new normal?
Honestly, I don't want to say this because I am not into politics, but I think once the election is over in the States, all this is going to vanish. Seriously. I think come December, it's going to kind of go out the door. Um, and people are going to be ready. That's my take on it. If anything, 2021 will be ready to go. I do feel as if they're going to still implement the, social distancing and, no massive events and concerts and things like that. But I think once, you know, the ball is rolling on the election side of things, then the whole COVID thing is gonna, find its way outside.
Well, let me ask you, in your opinion, um, what is the reason? I mean, aside, of course, from a lot of the yachts staying in the US that would normally come to the Med, I have been watching like time after time news reports coming out of the US that the yachting market is up by 50%, that the yacht charters, the yacht brokers are making, twice as many sales as they have in previous Julys and August. I mean, I think the figure was 16 super yachts were sold in August already to this stage in the US. Um, why is it that Europe seems to be down by 50% straight across the board, but the US is up by 50% and we're all dealing with the same issue?
Right. Essentially, how many boats are in Europe right now? They're not there.
Yeah.
They're here. Um, so, like I said, before the big boats kind of missed that crossing period in April to May time because that's normally when they go. But April to May, we were still in lockdown, and I believe Italy and France and Spain, they were all still shut down. So the big boats couldn't go across, and they kind of had to say, "Hey, we're going to be here." Now, as for the yacht sales being up in the States, I think definitely the ultra high net worth, in any situation, will always take advantage of what's going on. And even from what I've seen, people who owned 30 to 40 meter boats are upgrading to 60 to 70 meter boats. They're taking advantage of the tax bracket and they're running with it. So yeah, there's a lot of boats for sale. I'm showing 3 boats on Monday to one client. On Tuesday, I'm showing 2 more boats to another client. And people with the money have it. They're taking major advantage of the low interest rates on financing. And they're running with it. It's the same in the private jet world. A lot of people are selling the smaller planes, buying bigger planes, buying boats, selling the plane and then buying a boat. Selling the jet, buying a boat, and leasing a jet. Um, so they're taking advantage of the situation. And the other interesting fact of it, which is kind of bad, but the bigger charter companies that owns their fleet of jets aren't surviving, and they're selling their jets at below market cost. So individuals that no airplanes and no sales, knows that they can pick up one of those planes, do a little bit of work, wait 6 to 9 months and resell it. Same goes for the yacht world. It's the same thing.
Well, and I guess realistically speaking, if we are looking at a new society where we might have new pandemics in the future, it has been a reality. We've talked about this for 10 years or so. We've heard many politicians talk about it, many healthcare people talk about it, and now it's hit. So now we know that there is a possibility of pandemic because we've experienced it. Do you find that, or do you think that more people will get into things like private jets and their own yachts for the safety factor, just simply because, if you've got a group of, say, for example, 6 people, you're all flying first class on a commercial jet, is it not comparable to chartering a jet for yourself? If you're used to going to Dubai, for example, and you've got 10 people together and you're all going 5-star, is that not the same as chartering a yacht? Do you think this will increase those experiences over the next coming years?
It's already increased. Even right when shutdown was happening, the clients that I had that would fly first class are booking, the very light jet, private jet, because it is the same cost. Even for example, I have clients of mine that are up north right now. Come the end of season, they've already inquired for a 14-passenger jet from basically New York to Florida. And essentially, with the 14 people, it's coming to $2,600 per person. That's logically, that's not bad. That's not dealing with a mainstream airport. That's not dealing with, oh, you have to check your bag and you have liquids in your bag, and oh, there's a pet fee. There's 3 dogs included in this situation. And honestly, it's like what you just said. It's safer. It's clean. They're getting to their destination, in no time, and people are into that. I'm even experiencing a lot of clients that are kind of either leasing the jet or buying the jet with 2 to 3 people. So therefore, your cost is either cut in half or thirds, which is, it's great. Everyone gets an equal share. And as for the yachts, a yacht is kind of a ultimate survival, holy grail tool that you could have. You can make your water. You have your own power. If you wanted to get really smart, you can incorporate, hydroponics onto your sun deck and grow your own vegetables and, make it work. Some of these yachts can, cruise around the world and go into cold climates or hot climates. A few have submarines to escape. You never know. So
it's your ultimate survival kit, really.
Totally is. And there's going to be an increase. There already is, especially on the jet side and especially on the yacht side. And believe it or not, even though Florida is known as the, highest COVID rate, a realtor friends of mine have seen a 66% increase on real estate sales down here. So people are still getting out of New York and Connecticut and New Jersey, and they are coming to Florida. Only in the sense that what's going to happen in winter in New York? Flu, pandemic, they're just not risking it.
Well, and I think too, there's a cost factor that applies to working in New York, and with things that are, sort of people being furloughed, et cetera, there's a lot of people that aren't able to afford their rent anymore. And it makes sense because for the same amount of money that they would spend in New York, they probably could get themselves a mansion somewhere else in the country.
Texas. The prices in Texas versus, New England are completely night and day. And the other benefit to, being in Florida is that you don't have property tax, you don't have income tax. And those are 2 of the biggest things that, New England's, gets you on. And it's ridiculous. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure New York has 9 or 10% income tax. So any money you make that you put in your bank account minus your regular taxes, they're taking out a 9 to 10% just for that.
Wow, so it makes sense financially. I suppose it's like Europe and the tax havens and where you start your company up in Europe, you've got to find a nice little niche place to set that company up in order to make sure you've got it tucked away somewhere.
Exactly. You got it.
Not that I would know or anything.
No. Never.
No.
Never.
Well, Jack, as always, it's been extremely informational. We really do appreciate your time and coming on board here. We'd like to have you back again, of course, as you have information coming in or things that you think you'd like to let people know about.
Yeah, most definitely. Always a pleasure.
Once again, this has been Jack Coppola from Coppola Concierge. We'll provide his details underneath this interview when it airs. Thank you ever so much. You've been watching another edition of Yacht Crew Vlogs right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I have been your host. Tune in again.